if you're anything like me, you are probably concerned about your health and how you can improve your health. Especially this time of year after the holidays, we tend to all focus a little bit more on healthy eating and healthy living. And in this video, I want to share some major ways that I am trying to create a little bit more health and decrease the toxic burden in my own kitchen. And that is nanoplastics. Now, I know you know this is not medical advice, and I'm not telling you anything. There is no definitive answer to anything. I will leave a few links in the description box for you below where you can find some studies and some other articles that I have consulted before I was recording this video, so that you can do your own research and figure out what the facts are and how it impacts you. However, nanoplastics are tiny, tiny, tiny. They're smaller than microplastics, particles of plastics that are everywhere around us. They're in our water, they're in the ocean, they are in our bodies, and there is a growing concern that they have a negative impact on our health because they can permeate the blood-brain barrier, they can be in our organs, and they could potentially wreak havoc on our health. And I personally feel like there's a lot of things we can do to minimize nanoplastics in our homes and in our kitchens. And some of those ways are not even out of fear, or I'm not trying to stress out. They're just sensible. And there's some ways that are just back to what my grandparents would be doing. And I want to share those in this video. So one of the things that has been in the news lately is black utensils just like this. Supposedly they come from recycled electronics, and they can be really toxic, especially when you combine them with heat, when you're using them with cooking or in skillets. And you might be wondering why I have this. This is a relic from my past, and I knew that I wanted to do this video, and I kept it for you guys because I wanted to show it to you. So what are some alternatives instead of black plastic? Really simple. You can use wood, you can use stainless steel. Some people say that silicone might be a better alternative. Especially when it comes to high heat, I like to use either one of those, and that's always a really good idea environmentally and for your health. That leads me to cutting boards, and I have always loved wooden cutting boards. I know that some people are a little bit worried about it being hygienic. Now, plastic cutting boards, every time you cut, you're probably cutting tiny, tiny pieces of plastic that are going to be in your food. And especially if you actually scrape whatever you cut on your cutting board into your skillet or whatever cookware you're using, you might be scraping tiny pieces of plastic into your food. Now with wood, that is cellulose. Cellulose is being added to shredded cheese that you can buy in the grocery store. So I think it's just fiber that, I don't know if it has any negative effects on your digestion, but cutting boards are actually not unsanitary because the tannins in the wood create an unfavorable environment for bacteria. So you can always disinfect or with hot water and soap wash your cutting boards, but I feel like cutting boards are a much safer choice than plastic cutting boards. Now, I don't really have any, but anything plastic like disposable cutlery, we obviously use stainless steel and silver flatware, and also takeout containers, especially I'm thinking of the Costco rotisserie chicken that could be a good deal, but when I think about the black plastic tray that the chicken is sitting under a heating lamp to keep it hot. So when you buy it, it's hot. And especially under heat, plastics can leach into food. So that's one of the things I absolutely try to avoid. And you can either roast your own chicken or make sure it comes from maybe it comes from a rotisserie where you bring your own containers, or just, simply roast your own chicken, because then you're not involving any plastics in your food. Then bottled water. We have heard this before, that if you store water in plastic bottles, it can leach into the water, especially if and when those water bottles have been sitting in heat or in sunlight. You never know where your water bottles have been, especially if they have been in a truck that sits in the heat or on a ship. Fiji water actually tastes really great, but that's been on a ship for so many weeks. And that is why I prefer to, if I buy bottled water, to get it out of glass bottles. They're also a little bit more environmental friendly. And if you don't want to do that, you can also do tap water. Now, the issue with tap water often is that tap water also has supposedly a lot of nanoplastics in it because it's being leached into the water streams, into the reservoirs, and then we get it back into our tap water. And for that reason, I'm using a countertop water filter because we don't have a whole house water filtration system set up yet. And this, I feel like, is a good compromise. This is clearly filtered. I'll leave the link for you below, but you can also go to the EWG website and search for the best countertop filters or the best whole house filters or under sink filters. There's a lot of water filters, and you want to choose one that actually filters out the nanoplastics to a large degree. I don't know if we can always get rid entirely, but that do a good job at filtering nanoplastics out of your drinking water, and then at least you won't be getting it into your water. Another thing, and again, I'm not trying to create any more stress because we don't want to act out of fear. We want to act out of knowledge, and we want to do the best we can and not stress the little stuff that we can't affect. And so another thing is coffee cups. All the coffee cups that you get in coffee stores, coffee shops, are paper, but they have to have a lining because otherwise the paper would absorb the water and just fall apart. Therefore, the lining also has all sorts of interesting chemicals on the inside to keep that from happening. And yes, sometimes if I go somewhere and I feel like a hot cup of coffee, I will get that, and I'm not going to stress over it because I feel like just once it's not going to cause me to die. But whenever I can, I will try to bring my own coffee cup. This is stainless steel on the inside. Let me see if I can open it for you. Stainless steel on the inside. I can bring my own coffee cup and let them fill their coffee into my own coffee cup, and at least then, first of all, I'm not creating any trash for the environment, and also I'm not adding any plastics to my coffee drink. And talking about hot drinks, this is actually a very delicious tea, but the problem with this tea is it comes in these little tea bags that are, super convenient when you first think about it. But these are also made from plastic. Now, if you add boiling water to it, you could be leaching the plastic into your tea. And therefore, what I do is I just cut this little tea bag open. If I get some tea like this was actually a Christmas gift. And then I have my own little, these are, I think they're gold, but they're metal filters. And I just pour the contents from the tea bag into my filter, and then I pour the boiling water over it. And that way I'm minimizing my exposure to plastics. Now, to what degree dish sponges are adding nanoplastics to your food, I don't know, but I think that using cellulose sponges is actually the way to go because, first of all, regular sponges made from plastics are made from petroleum, and we know that that's bad for the environment. So the production of these sponges is not very environmentally friendly, and also when you're done with them. So while you're using them, they might be shedding little pieces of plastic all the time. But then also when you're throwing them out, when they're done, they're going to sit in the environment and they're not going to degrade, but they're probably just leaching. Therefore, I love these cellulose sponges. They are made from a natural material. They're just as good as regular sponges, and when you're done, you can throw them in your trash and they decompose, and because they're not from a natural material, so that's a much better choice. And if you're looking for some scrubbing action, because a lot of sponges have a rougher side and you can actually scrub, I like these walnut scrubbers. There's a lot of other alternatives out there for environmentally and healthier choices than a plastic sponge. And I'm always surprised to learn where plastics might be lurking, and one is your salt. If we know that there is a lot of micro and nanoplastics in the ocean and you're buying sea salt, you're going to get those in your sea salt in a concentrated form. Therefore, I love using rock salt or salt from ancient salt mines. This one is real salt. It's an amazingly good salt. I will also leave a link for you below where you can find it. This is my to-go-to, and it's a much safer choice. And one thing that doesn't necessarily affect your food, but that you might still have in your kitchen, is microfiber cloths. I know I have this. I try to use it as little as I can for certain jobs. But again, microfiber, it says it right there. It's also made from plastics, and it keeps on shedding. Every time you put it in a wash, it could be shedding little plastic particles. And so it ends up in the water sources, and we're constantly adding more plastics to our environment, and I'm trying to minimize the use of that as much as possible. Now, I'm not a saint. I can't claim that I am always doing the right choice, but I'm trying to be conscientious and aware and make better choices when I can and as often as I can. Now, there's also other ways, surprising ways, in which you might be adding nanoplastics from your personal care products to your own body. And if you'd like me to make a video on that and show you some alternative options, let me know in the comments below. And then we know that using plastic storage containers can potentially leach plastics into your food, and therefore I love using glass. We all love mason jars, and you can easily turn mason jars into all sorts of containers with, for example, something like this, a pour lid. We use that for our milk, and you can just pour it. You can put your juice in it. You can use this for other things. And there is a company called Mason Jar Lifestyle that has a whole range of different lids for mason jars, for various sizes of mason jars and for various applications. And I want to put out a giveaway that if you comment on this video with your favorite way to decrease the amount of nanoplastics in your kitchen until this Sunday, January 12th, 2025, until midnight Pacific Standard Time, you can win a $25 gift card from Mason Jar Lifestyle, and you can shop for various mason jar attachments and lids. As always, I'm looking forward to your comments and thoughts and questions. Leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.